All right, we have your end of course assessment coming up, and we are going to do a quick little geometry review here for this. So you are going to need your formula sheet, your calculator, and some scrap paper. If you need to pause the video and go grab those, please do that right now. Otherwise, you can go ahead and keep on playing this. So for our first one, we are going to be finding the area of our shaded region here. And what I want you to do is to take a look at the outside. We're just looking at this gray space that's in here. So are we going to use addition or subtraction to actually be able to calculate the area of that gray space? So for this one, because we're removing that circle, we are going to use a subtraction here. So looking at the outer part, I noticed that the outer shape is actually a rectangle, and we're going to be removing that area of the circle that's there. For a rectangle, looking at your formula sheet, your area formula is length times width. So you're going to go ahead and plug in your length of 7 times your width of 12, and that's going to give you a final area of 84 on this particular rectangle. For your circle here, looking at your formula sheet, what is the formula for area of a circle? So the one you wanted was the A equals, and that's pi r squared. We need to have the radius in our case in the formula here, and taking a look at this picture, do we have the radius or the diameter here? For this one, we actually have the diameter, so we want to go ahead and split it in half to get the radius. So our radius here is going to be 2. So we're going to plug in 3.14 times 2 squared, and that's going to give us a total area of 12.56. When we look at area, we are going to be using our units here, our yards, and when we do area, are our units just going to stay yards? Are they going to be yards squared, or are they going to be yards cubed? So when we do area, we're going to do yards squared. So I'm going to ask you to go ahead and plug in here the area of the rectangle, subtracting out that circle, get a final answer, and then you'll be asked to go ahead and type that in. You should include your units written out as well. So for this one, you're going to do 84 minus the 12.56. That's going to give you a final area of 71.44 square yards, because we are talking about yards squared here. On this next one, we have a triangle, and it does have this rectangular piece cut out. So when we do our area, we're going to do the triangle minus the rectangle part. We'll start with the rectangle, finding the area is length times width. So we're going to do 8 times 5, and that area is going to be 40. For our triangle, our formula is 1/2 times base times height. So the base of this triangle is 10, and the height is 13, and I forgot my 1/2 out front. So the area of this triangle is going to be 65. Using those two numbers, you're going to go ahead on down here, and you're going to tell me, plugging in, we have triangle is 65 minus the rectangle is 40. What is our final area? And also include your units. So 65 minus 40 is going to give you 25. Our units are inches, and it's area, so we're going to be squared for this one. For the next example, we're going to find perimeter here. We're going to start with this one right here. What operation is going to allow us to calculate perimeter of any given shape? So for perimeter, we're adding up all the sides. I'm going to ask you to go ahead, take a minute, add up all these different sides together here, and a multiple choice question will pop up then, and that'll ask you for what is the perimeter of this shape. When I added all these sides together, I did end up with 37. Next question for you. What are our units going to be for this question? Perimeter is a linear measurement, so because it's linear, we would just have plain old feet, nothing else, because we could measure it with the string. So this one, we have a circle. What word describes the perimeter of our circle? Perimeter of our circle is going to be called circumference. And our formula is going to be the one on our formula sheet that starts off 2 pi r. Taking a look at your picture, our radius is right here at 40. So our circumference is going to be 2 times 3.14 times 40. So go ahead, you're going to type in what is your answer with a label for units. You're going to include your entire answer here. So your answer is 251.2, and your units should just be centimeters for this one. We have 2 more examples. We're going to go into the 3-dimensional for this. We have this prism that's right here, and when we actually take a look at it, this would be a pentagonal prism. So it does have a base, and I'm just going to shorten that to pentag, and then we need prism. We are going to calculate volume of our prism. So when we look at any prism other than the rectangular prism, we're using the formula V equals BW. B represents the area of your base. I'm going to go ahead and have you take a second here to calculate what is the area of this base of our pentagon. So the pentagon is going right here. So you're going to have to find the rectangle as well as the triangle and add those two together then to calculate the area of the base. So for the area of your base, you have the triangle on the top, which is 1/2 times base times height. The base of the triangle comes up from the bottom at 16, and then the height is 9. So the area of that triangle is 72. And then down here, you're going to need length times width for the rectangle. So that's now 16 times 12. That's going to be 192. When you put those together, you're adding 72 plus 192, and that's going to give you a total area of your base to be 264. The other piece that we need is the W. The W is the what connects the two parts together. So I'm going to ask you to pick which one is our W in this problem. W again connects the bases. So the bases are on the front and the back, which tells us that this 10 is our W value. For volume, because we're three-dimensional, and we're talking about the space that can be filled up here, what type of units are we going to be using for this particular question? So because it's 3D, we are going to be talking about feet cubed. So with that, we can go ahead and plug in our volume formula, 264 times 10. That's going to give us a final volume of 2,640 feet cubed for this one. For the next question, you are going to find surface. So for our next question, we're going to be finding surface area of the prism. Taking a look at this one, we would call this a triangular prism. So we're going to go ahead and do our T-chart here for triangular prism. We're finding surface area, so our formula is going to be PW plus 2B. So down the side here, we're going to be finding the area of the base. We're going to be finding the perimeter of the base and also identifying that W then. So for the base, because we are a triangular prism, our base is a triangle. So we're going to be doing 1/2 times base times height. I'm going to ask you to go ahead and type in what value, just the number, do you get when you actually plug in the base and the height and get the area then. So you're doing 1/2 times the base is going to be 35 and the height is going to be 20. That's going to give you an area of your base to be 350. When you go calculate the perimeter, you're going to be adding up the numbers around the outside. So we have 20 plus 37 plus 35, which will give you a perimeter of 92. Your W, which number on this particular picture is going to be the W for you? So we do have the back is here, the triangle is up front here, our W is what connects, so our W is going to be the 25. Since we have that, we can go ahead and plug in then. So our perimeter is 92, our W is 25, and we're going to be doing 2 times the area of our base, which is 350. So for this first part here, I get 2,300, and for the second part, I get 700. For surface area, what type of units are we going to include? So our units are going to be square feet because we are finding the areas. So when we add these together, we're going to get a total of 3,000 square feet. And that's it then for your geometry review for your end of course assessment.